Hey everyone, welcome back to Demiplane. We are live at Gamehole Con, day number 2. I'm Satine Phoenix, one of 3 amazing hosts. B. Dave Walters, Adam Bradford. They are not here right now, but they will be here later tonight for a game. I want you guys to remember that we are raising money for Extra Life, children's hospitals. Please donate, and your donations will count towards rolls and can affect games. And I believe we have some games coming up that will be effective for. But right now we are here with Dr. Megan Connell, who does a lot of work in our D&D and our TTRPG sphere. Dr. Megan Connell, yeah, woo! I've known you for so long, and you have, man, you really have done so much for the community. I know you, but please share with everyone what you do.
Yeah, I am Dr. Megan Connell. I'm a board-certified psychologist, which means I've gotten a lot of certifications. I practice physically in North Carolina, but virtually I just got approved to practice in 26 states. So I'm super excited about that. But I'm also a therapeutic game master, so I use Dungeons & Dragons as a therapy tool. My groups work with women and girls, those who have anxiety or on the autism spectrum, to learn confidence and finding their voice through play. And then I've also helped to develop a training program to get other providers to become certified geek therapists and certified game masters for using D&D and other tabletop role-playing games as a therapy tool.
I really want to take part in that. We should talk about that.
Yes, we need to.
It is time. You have an amazing career. Congratulations for taking that leap. It sounds very bold, and it sounds like what you do might also inspire the girls and the women that you help as well.
That's my hope. Running the groups for the girls has been just so amazing. You know, I tell this story a lot of I had this time where I was doing proof of concept. And so I was going, all right, this is fun, but is it really therapeutic? And I remember with one of the girls in the group coming up to me and telling me how she finally stood up to people because her character would have stood up to people. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is really having impact past the table. So and since that time, it's just been growing and growing and growing, and just seeing how much confidence and competence and the relationships that people build, and it is just beautiful. It's such a powerful tool for therapy, I think.
That's awesome. I want to talk about your heroine's journey.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was it like to get to this place?
It's been a winding, I think for anybody, right? It's a winding road. It's never straight from okay, childhood, I loved gaming, and then, trajectory right to adulthood of using it, right?
Yeah.
It was a winding path. I actually started off this journey wanting to be a music therapist.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was studying music therapy at Berklee College of Music, and I was there actually when September 11th happened.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I had been talking with one of my professors who had talked about how they had, after getting their degree in music therapy, became a psychologist, and I was already thinking about that. And afterwards, I started calling recruiting offices, and I actually talked to a Navy recruiter, and he asked me what I wanted to do with my life. And I said, well, I think I want to become a psychologist. And he said, don't join the military right now. Go become a psychologist because we're going to need you.
Oh, wow.
And that was exactly what I did. And so I went to grad school, joined the Army, and I was in the Army for 7 years, deployed to Iraq. And came home, and geekdom has always been a part of my life, but it wasn't a big focus. And then when I was ready to get out of the military and really thinking about who do I want to be as a civilian, I really started leaning back into geekdom and gaming and be my ideal client is a geek. I want to work with geeks. And then discovering games again and bringing gaming into that and finding that joy, because gaming has this ability to get at our core issues. Right, if you want to understand things that maybe you could work on in therapy, think about all the characters you have made for your various campaigns.
Yeah.
And then find what is it that ties them all together. What is that personality characteristic that they all have in common? And for the most part, you get to meet your core issue that you need to work on.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot that, just in my own personal relationships, that the more vulnerable I am, the more things actually come up. And it's almost like they will not come up until you feel vulnerable. And in personal relationships, that is something that you're used to having happened. But in these gaming sessions, you don't realize how vulnerable you're being able to have to trust other people. Are you seeing that a lot in your games?
Oh, most definitely. It is so powerful to see people go there with that stuff and to be willing to open themselves up to taking those risks. And just the beauty of connection. Yeah, I remember in one game, one of the players, like, they were socially anxious and very worried that nobody else liked them.
Oh.
And so, like, they kept trying to, to do the thing that we do when we're anxious, right? Is like, I'm worried this thing's gonna happen, so I'm just gonna make it happen, so therefore I stop worrying about it happening.
Yeah.
And so they kept, having their character pull back from the rest of the group, but the rest of the group wouldn't let that happen. And they did it in such beautiful, calm ways, where like this player would go away and another character would go sit next to them and cast the light cantrip on a rock and pass it over to them.
Oh.
And then the character would push the rock back and they'd cast it again and set it over. And like that was the whole like interaction. And like they were doing it by passing a dice back and forth.
Aww.
Until this player was finally like, so wait, you guys actually want me around? And it's like, yeah, they do.
So there must be a lot of not trained game masters who experience this. What kind of advice would you give them, aside from taking your, game master course?
Yeah.
Like, what could you do to kind of like have the game master feel safe when other people are vulnerable?
I think session 0, 100%. You have to have those conversations about where the boundaries are and, talking about that, especially if you have a game that's going into some emotional vulnerability and really exploring that stuff, because then it's we want to have that understanding of how deep are we going to go and what are the safety tools we're putting in place. Are we using an X card? Are we doing timeout? Like, how do we communicate when it's getting too much for us? And like understanding like when to push a little bit and then when to kind of step back. There's definitely an artwork to that. But one of the big things to talk about is please don't therapize your friends who are playing at your table. Like, if you're trying to open up their past traumas or anything like that, like you're opening a can of worms you're not ready to close.
So that is so very specifically, do not do that.
Yes.
Because if you're, just don't, because it needs to be consensual that that's happening.
Yeah.
But when you're a game master and you see that people are acting out and playing out these traumas and they start doing transference and projections, what do you do?
I think maybe taking sometimes a little intermission at a good point. Like you don't want to, completely hard stop stuff like that, unless like it's getting risky and the people are really being vulnerable and starting to collapse or something. We need to like take a step back. But check in with the players and just be like, I notice we're going into a deep emotional spot for you. Are you feeling okay with that? And have that conversation one-on-one. Because like that way people know you're checking in and you're wanting to be honest and to make sure that they're okay. And maybe coming up with like, okay, if this gets to be too much, what's a signal you can give me, that's maybe a little more subtle than the X cards so that I can steer it away or have an NPC interrupt you all or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a really deep question.
Okay.
And this is something that I hear a lot. It's, I say, please use your X card. And here are all the things that you can do. Reds, yellows, greens, X's, holding up a sign saying, please stop. I see a lot, even with those. Sometimes people just feel like they're gonna be a burden on on the rest of the party, or even to the game master. If they say something, they get triggered, they start spiraling. And then it's not even until after the game or that session ends that they can vocalize, and by then they're already traumatized. So is there a back door to this?
That is such a great question, because it's something like I noodle on a lot. I think this is one of those times where I will say online games have an advantage over face-to-face games. Because in an online game, I can private message the dungeon master, right? And so like the term we use is social pressure.
Yes.
Right? So when we're at that table, there's social pressure to comply and to continue the experience, right? And even if you're uncomfortable, you might have that social pressure to comply and to continue on. And so that's why you might not want to throw the X card, or you might not want to utilize some of the safety tools you have. But on a virtual game, if I can just send you a little like N to say near a line, and you can see that before it happens, nobody else knows I sent that to you. And you can nicely kind of steer the game, right? I haven't come up with a great solution for the face-to-face games because, again, there is that social pressure and it's hard to do something outside of maybe texting or something like
as
that.
a game master, you have to be extra, I believe you have to be extra sensitive to those things. And I am kind of able to like read when somebody's doing that, and then I will say, I'm uncomfortable. So I almost say that I'm uncomfortable in their place and allow other people to say, oh, I'm uncomfortable too. And if they don't, then I say, do we consent to go on? That's the only thing that I've been able to do.
And that's brilliant, because like that's the thing is like when the game master or the dungeon master demonstrates the use of the safety tool, it makes it okay for everybody else. You know, just like when the game master is engaging in voices and being silly, that gives all the players permission to do that as well, or is willing to go deep in the emotions. So like, you know, we're the leaders of the group. You know, you really are in a leadership position when you're the game master. And so like, it's really interesting to take that and think about that and like, okay, lead by example. You know, like let's show, you know, like when I'm doing we do the red, yellow, green system for different topics. I always am the first to throw up some red topics. Like, you know, like, and I
almost like to show. Like,
yeah, okay, to show. But I also like try to do some ones that I kind of call, okay, this one maybe seems silly, but like, I don't want cockroaches in my game. I don't like them.
Yeah.
You know, and like honestly, like if there were cockroaches in a game, I wouldn't mind all that much. I'd be like, but you know, that's about it. But like by talking about that, I can say like, it's okay. You know, if you don't like spiders, you don't like snakes, you don't like frogs, whatever, it's okay. Then we won't put them in the game.
I've had players say, I had one say this out loud, and then the rest of them went, oh my gosh, like they didn't even realize it was an option. They didn't want me, they know that I, Satine, the game master, likes to, you know, instead of killing the characters, I'd rather, you know, take an arm or, you know, leave a scar. They said, do not hurt my hair.
Oh.
And I was like, I would never have thought of that. And then the rest of them were like, oh, please don't hurt my hair. You know, because some of them wear wigs, but other ones, like they do their hair to match their character. And I was like, wow, that is amazing. And by giving me that, it was such a beautiful opportunity to see all the other things that one might not think about that would be lines and veils.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so much, you know, it's such a small thing to say, like, please don't hurt my hair. But like it takes so much courage to come over that social barrier to say that. And again, it's that kind of bystander effect almost where as soon as one person says something, it gives everybody else permission to say things.
Exactly. So you have a show. You have a Twitch show.
Yes.
And what is it called?
Clinical Role.
That's so cool.
It's so fun.
Now, you're actually doing this, right? You and your friends, you were up there, you were showing people how to role play. You're just being yourselves. You're experiencing games. What are kind of the things that you didn't realize in this game that actually have helped other people? Whereas, you know, normally you have the gamer, you have you the psychologist, and then you have you the live streamer. Yeah,
there's been a couple of things. I think Dr. B's character started off as Emerald, and we use Jem Hammer and Sons deck of Wonder, which is a super fun deck of 100 random things. And he has pulled this card called where your name is changed to Dabney for 1 month. And he pulled it twice, and after the second pull, we're like, if you pull this a third time, your character's name is Dabney. Like, that's it. His name is changed to Dabney. And he pulled it a third time.
Oh my gosh.
So it was funny, it was brilliant. But also, like, his character had been on this amazing journey. It was starting off as like a street urchin, like, I don't need anybody, I want to be alone, to like really protecting his found family and really belonging. And so like we had this moment of like, you know, as you drink the potion of wonder, you reflect on who Emerald was. And Emerald was a kid who grew up on the streets and who didn't have anybody. And then you think about who Dabney is. And Dabney has a family. Dabney has friends. Dabney has a sense of belonging. And it was just this beautiful moment of getting to weave together all of the pieces. And like, we have that trust and we debrief a lot and like we check in and doing all of those kinds of things that we need to. But it was such a beautiful moment for his character too.
That's awesome. Are you the game master?
Yes, I am.
You are the game master.
I'm the game master of other game masters.
Oh my gosh, and the psychologist.
And the psychologist, yes.
It's like a triple whammy.
Beast mode.
Okay, so what are some of the difficulties of that? And you know that your peers, in this like triple level of peers, they have maybe not the same background as you, but you kind of are playing at this different level. Is there, what's it like dungeon mastering for other psychologists?
I find it super fun, and I think this is maybe a great just tip for any game master out there is like, don't have your ego too tied into stuff. Like when my players suggest something and it's better than what I had in mind, I'm like, I like that better, we're gonna do that. And I just will let go of my old stuff. I don't have too much of like my sense of self tied to like how we roll crits or how we check in or how we do certain things. It's all just kind of loose, and like if I hear a better idea from these folks, because they're all game masters, they're running games every week and doing this stuff, it's like, cool, I like that idea or that way of doing this a little bit better. Let's incorporate that. Let's, change. Let's adapt and overcome.
Awesome. So when is it?
It is every other Monday on the Geeks Like Us Twitch channel from 9 p.m. to 11 to 12 Eastern.
Oh, cool. All right. So you are a psychologist. You are a live streamer.
Yes.
You are a family person.
Yes.
It's a lot of work. And you're writing a book.
I am writing a book. Yes, I'm writing a book on the applied use of tabletop role-playing games in psychology.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is massive, and
yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you talk just about it? Just talk about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is a book I've been wanting to write for a while, and like a publisher approached me and asked me to write it. And I was like, well, I was going to do this anyway, and so now I have a deadline, which is very helpful to get projects done. No, this is going to be an overview of what therapeutic gaming is, what diagnoses you can work with, and how to utilize it. The hope is that for professionals reading the book, by the end of it, they have an idea of potentially how to utilize tabletop role-playing games. I would still recommend going and getting a training. I helped develop a training program through Leyline Geek Therapeutics, but there's also training through Game to Grow, Bahana Group, and other places. So
do you have websites?
I do. meganside.com is my website. And then Geek Therapeutics is the training site, and then Geeks Like Us, our website is currently under construction. It should hopefully be done in the next week. Soon. It'll
Write
look
all this
amazing.
down.
Yeah, but Megan's ID is going to be where you're going to find all of the links to these different sites and different projects that I do. I try to keep it as up to date as possible.
Awesome.
With everything that I do there.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to hear your top 3 game master tips that are just game master tips. And then I'm going to ask you about 2 tips to kind of help the game master. So I'm like, help the game master be vulnerable. And so those are 2 different things, and I'm saying them now so you can kind of have that in the back of your head.
I'm thinking.
3 game master tips.
3 game master tips. Number 1 is session 0. I feel like that when I first started talking about session 0, probably back in 2017 when we started GM tips, like I feel like it has really started to become part of the norm of everything out there. But also for those quick convention games, have a quick little write-up, maybe with like the rating of what the game's going to be as kind of a quickie session 0. Utilizing the consent forms, those are fabulous and really, really helpful. And then, and again, just don't get too invested in your ideas. This is the 3rd tip. Read Mike Shea's Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is great. I am a recovering control freak for my games. So learning how to let go of control a little bit and leaning into the chaos is a lot more fun, and it makes the games, I think, a lot better.
I really like chaos. Chaos is underrated.
It really is. It's so much fun. Like having random things happen in your game is a delight.
Yeah, it really is. Okay. Now we talked about player vulnerability. We're talking now about dungeon master vulnerability, because when you let go of that control, it is more fun and you are more vulnerable. So 2 tips for game masters that relate to vulnerability. I don't want to control your answer.
No. Own your stuff. Like if the players have thrown something at you that you just don't know what to do with, own that. Just say, wow, I don't know what to do. Can you all give me 5 minutes to kind of think this through and come up with something? And it's powerful, the temptation is to be cool and be like, all right, that's cool, guys. I need to go use the bathroom, right? To play it safe.
Oh, that's the best one.
Right?
Bio break, pause.
Yeah. But to say like, okay, this is going weird. I need to really think about how this would happen, because this was not what I expected.
Yeah.
And just to take that moment and to gather your thoughts and to own that. I think that's a really important thing. And then also just letting your players know you're rooting for them, because I think a lot of times players have that role confusion where they think their GM might be out to get them, and they're not. They're there to have fun with everybody. And so like it's important just to have those moments of being like, I was nervous for you guys there. I didn't know how you were going to get through that, right?
Yeah.
Or if they outsmarted the great puzzle or thing that you had in front of them, just go, you guys did awesome. That was so good. Just being able to be open and to say those things, it's so, so powerful. Like, it's weird how vulnerable we can feel even giving somebody a compliment and saying like, oh my gosh, I love your costume. It looks so beautiful. Or I love and the more you practice saying that stuff to people, the easier it gets. And like, it makes people's day.
It really does.
So like, practicing those kind of vulnerabilities, I think that can be helpful.
And it shows them that they can be vulnerable too.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Dr. Megan Connell, thank you so much for being here. Please tell everyone again all the places that they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at MeganSide, again, meganside.com, Geeks Like Us, and then for training purposes, Leyland Geek Therapeutics.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone out there, this is not the end. This is just a pause because we have 2 more awesome events. First, we're raising money for Extra Life Children's Hospitals. Please donate now and now and now and now. And if you can't donate, please share it on socials. That is something that we all can do. So please be a part of this. We really appreciate it, and these children very much appreciate it. So we have some games coming up.
Yes.
I believe we have a Ravenloft game coming up.
Yes.
Looking at the production, I get the nod. Ravenloft.
I'm in that game.
You are, and this is game mastered by Jonathan Doran.
Yeah.
And you are in it, Megan Connell, Dr. Megan Connell, Elisa Teague, Patrick Olson, and Monica Valentinelli. And that is at 6 p.m. Where are we in Central Time?
Central Time.
Central Time. That is another time in Mountain and Pacific that I will not calculate because I just give up. And I'm not quite sure how you can participate in that, but donate anyway.
Well, actually, I can answer that
Please.
one. Yes, we all have donation pages set up. If you go to the Gamehole Con Extra Life, we're all on there, and we have different donation levels. If anybody feels incredibly generous and donates $1,000, Strahd appears, and we're rolling initiative.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Okay, we're doing that in mine too. So if you donate, so that's for this one coming up. That's the Ravenloft game, $1,000, Strahd shows up. And then at 10 p.m. tonight, Dungeons and Dragons. I am the game master, Satine Phoenix, and we're going to be playing in Salvata, my husband and my city that we made up. It's our artistic bard city. We've got B. Dave Walters, Latia. We have my husband, Jameson Stone. We have Adam Bradford and Elisa Teague. I want to say that we're missing one more person, but I don't know. It's just, we're doing it live. And for $20, you can give someone a reroll. You can also give me a reroll. For $250, you can put a monster in. Yeah, apparently they got me to agree that you can give them a monster also.
Ooh.
So yeah, I haven't heard that one before, but I've agreed to it. And as of right now, if you donate $1,000, Strahd's showing up.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be real awesome. So somebody please do that. That's amazing.
That would be amazing. And I'll say on our game too, we have a lot of like $5 and $10 ones too.
Good.
So like I think
and it's listed on your.
It's all listed on our pages.
Cool.
Yeah. So like $5, we'll pull from the deck of Wonder, which is like things like our characters' names might become Dabney.
That is a lot of chaos, and you should participate in that chaos.
We want to have maximum chaos. We also have a donation where we'll start talking like pirates.
Yes.
So, yes.
Oh, that's so fun.
It's going to be fun.
All right, guys, we're going to pause, and we're going to show you the floor, I believe. Yeah, I got that nod. I like it when they all nod at the same time. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much, team. We love you. Thank you so much for Demiplane for hosting these 2 days of streaming. Thank you, Gamehole Con, and don't forget, Extra Life donations start right now.